Hi Will, welcome to the back of Rapunzel's castle, and your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to use your fantastic wood filament for the beer cellar. Everybody likes a beer cellar. So this is the beer cellar, and this is the inspection panel. And what I thought would be really good is to have barrels. Now I shall do the bottles of wine and one thing and another out of resin, but I thought 3D printed barrels in here would look fantastic. So here's one I've done in an opaque white PLA for size. And wouldn't that look absolutely fantastic if it was done with wood filament?
Don't worry, Andre, I've got your back. This is going to be a barrel of laughs. So first thing we want to do is actually do some testing to make sure that all the dimensions line up, because literally the model is massive. Like if I was to print it full size, it's like that big. So I'm going to shrink it down, and then I'm going to shrink, make sure all like the threads and still lines up and everything like that. I'll explain. We'll go over to the computer and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, now I know you're thinking that barrel's really short, Will. Yeah, no, I know. Basically, I'm going to give it a test because these threads are quite small and I'm using quite a large nozzle to be able to print the wood filament. So, as a test, I've sunk it into the ground, and so I'm only going to print the top half and then also the lid, and then print that, and I've scaled this to what he wants it to be, which will be around 40mm. And then I've scaled this literally 1% lower, so hopefully that'll fit nicely inside of there, and nothing will, you know, rile up on each other or anything like that, and it will fit in and screw in nicely. So I'm going to do that at a regular PLA, and I'm going to use the wood PLA setting, which isn't totally perfect for obviously regular PLA, but it's better than that, and so we iron out some of the kinks now, rather than wasting a load of wood filament, because that stuff's not cheap. So that's the test piece printed. I'm just trying out the threads to see if they work, and they actually work really well. They're a little bit loose, but the main problem is the fact that now I've scaled it down by that 1%, it doesn't really line up with the piece that it's screwing into. You can see where I'm pointing here, it's a bit short, and I didn't really like the look of that, so I had another go at printing it just the same scale as the other piece, and it actually fitted really well. I was quite surprised about that. So on this next bit, I'm going to print a test piece in wood just to make sure that thread works, and then we can print the full thing. Also beware of flying barrels, they may hurt. So here I'm just trying out the thread on the wood test, and you can probably hear from my reaction that I'm quite happy about this. That works really well. I didn't expect that at all. That's most excellent. So now all the testing's done, we just need to print the actual wooden part now. That was actually not too bad. It came out a lot better than I expected. The actual thread itself was better than the plastic one, like just the regular PLA one. I don't know, but if it works, it works. Also, I've just discovered you can get a time-lapse app for my camera, so here's a lovely little time-lapse I did, taking pictures every 30 seconds, which is quite nice. Let me know what you think of it, and if you like them, I'll do some more in the future. Now, a couple of my viewers, namely Fuzzy Panda and Lee Fletcher, both asked about print settings, and that's actually a really good idea. So I'm going to start putting print settings down in the description, so you'll find the nozzle diameter I used and whether it was standard PLA, and then any sort of changes that I've made. But this prints really well using those settings, so hopefully that's useful. So I'm giving it a final test to make sure all the screw threads work, and as before, it screws on beautifully and works really nicely. One thing to note is that I didn't quite get it right yet, but if you line up the little grooves and stuff with the actual rest of the barrel, then you can't even tell it's got a lid on, which is really, really nice. So here's all the finished parts for the assemble it yourself barrel, and as you can see, it's string central. Yeah, this stuff is really stringy, even with retraction turned up quite high. But they all just pick off quite easily, and if you use a bit of a file just to clean up the edges, it comes out really nicely. And here I'm just printing out the hoops out of standard PLA, and these are what fit around the barrel and holds everything together once it's finished and assembled. These are all printed with a small brim around them just because I wanted it to stick nice to the bed, because the actual print themselves is like only 1 or 2 walls thick, so they're really small but surprisingly strong, which is quite nice. So this should give you a general idea of how it all goes together. All these staves go around the edges of the 2 head pieces, and then you have 3 top and 3 bottom hoops that go over the top of it and holds it all together. That plus a little bit of glue, I think it will come out quite nicely, it'll be quite solid. Well, there you have it. Look how brilliant that came out of there, and the thread's wonderful. And the other barrel is great as well. There's parts of it, if I grab like this, there's all these sort of bits, and see if I can get it to focus again. There we go. All these little pieces and stuff to put together, and I've got all the rings in here somewhere. I'm sure this clips somewhere. So all that's going to be sent over to Andre at Miniature Madness, and I tried to assemble it myself, got really annoyed and gave up. So Andre, this one's for you. This one, forget it. Start again. Andre, this one's all on you, mate. Just a heads up, by the way, these are really delicate. These are the lids, or the top pieces of the barrel. And as you can see, that rim there, if you're wondering, I'm looking at the monitor, that little rim at the edge there is really fragile, so be very, very careful. I'm sure if any of those edges do come off, that if you glue them in place and then put the bands on, it'll be alright. It's just making alignment of the barrel to make it all fit together nicely so much more easier, so be as careful as you can, really. Also, because some of these parts are really delicate, I've printed you some spares. See, that's an extra lid, that's the screw lid for the top of the barrel, like just the one that's already in place, and I've also printed 4 of the lids to the actual the assembly barrel one, because those are really quite fragile, and if you break them, that's not a good thing. But yeah, in case you're wondering, the bands are actually printed out of I'm not sure of the brand unfortunately, but it's a gunmetal effect PLA, and it's really, really nice. Let me know what you think of those. And the rest of it is just printed in the filamented dark wood PLA, which is a really nice wood filament. Thank you, Miniature Madness, for the request, because it was a really enjoyable, really fun project, so that was quite nice to do. Thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment and subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and I shall see you next time. Ta-da! 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. You start fucking in it. That is not going in the video. If you're wondering, I'm trying to see like if I'm in frame, but before the frame rate catches up. Anyway, never mind.